In the first instance, Gary, I think it's probably best. Could you just do a quick intro to yourself? If you just tell us who you are, what you do, and what's your involvement with the SIA?
Sure, no problem. So, my name is Gary Dawson. I am one of the support network managers at the Spinal Injuries Association, and my job is to line manage six of our coordinators, and the support coordinators are those who are out on the front line supporting people with spinal cord injury. And I'm also responsible for growing the network and reaching new partners. And as well as it seems that the SIA is taking on as many challenges as I can to help raise awareness and the profile of the SIA.
Brilliant. And obviously one of those challenges being the overseas challenge in Italy in May. About that challenge, so we'll go into your bike, like I said, because I'm super interested in the device itself. But what got you into doing the cycling challenges? And yeah, let's go with that. What got you into doing the endurance challenges?
So we had a fundraiser or fundraising manager, and they came up with this challenge that they're going to do an overseas cycle. And at the time, my team, I was part of the peer support team at the time. We was in the office down in Milton Keynes, and she came into our meeting and said, "Who wants to cycle from London to Paris?" Now, hand went straight up. Says, "Right, you signed up." Didn't have a bike, didn't have any means of funding to get a bike, but that was it. I was signed up. And so I started looking into sort of what forms of self-propulsion cycles they are for people with sort of complex disabilities. I do have upper limb function. I have a T6 complete spinal cord injury, so I'm completely paralyzed from the chest down. However, my spinal cord injury does not affect my upper limbs, so my shoulders, chest, and arms are not affected. However, my joints are a bit worn and damaged through various different things over the years. But once I sort of signed up to do the ride, it was like, well, I managed to get funding for what's called a clip-on bike. So a clip-on bike is a bike that will literally clip onto your wheelchair. And as you sort of set off, your front casters, so the two front wheels on the front of your wheelchair are lifted off the ground. So all the drive goes through the drive wheel that's now attached to the front. You have two handles that you can you crank to propel yourself forwards, and it was sort of a 12 speed, but it also had a built-in motor, which was amazing. And it's when I started doing my training, though, up and down the East Lancs in sort of in St. Helens, which is the most boring road in the world. I found myself turning that little motor on, but I knew when I was going to do the overseas cycle, I was not going to be using this clip-on, because it was really advised that we use a recumbent bike, because the other cyclists who were going along were also using recumbent. So I actually arranged with the local wheelchair manufacturers to borrow a Quickie Shark recumbent hand cycle, and I drove to Da Vinci, picked the bike up on the Wednesday, drove down to London on I think it was on the Thursday, and then got in the bike for the first time, whatever, it might be the Thursday, I might have got the days wrong there, but got in the bike for the very first time and set off for London, set off for Paris. And I'd never been in a recumbent bike before. I didn't know how it worked. I also didn't realize how hard it was to go up a hill when you don't have that little button to turn the motor on. So it was a bit of a shock. But it was the most incredible experience. We cycled from Tunbridge Wells all the way down to Dover, then from wherever we were in France, all through Normandy, down, end up in Paris, and it was the most amazing experience I've ever had. And I remember really battling climbing a hill in Normandy, and I was just literally moving like a couple of meters at a time, having to stop and rest, and then a couple of meters. And I'm one of these people who refused to be pushed. It was like, no, I'm going to do it under my own steam. But then when you get to the top of this hill, and the descent was just, it was the closest thing to being back on a motorbike, which is how I sustained my injury. And it was just so freeing, and the speed and being laid so close to the ground. I just remember being, this is amazing, this is hooked. And when we got to our final destination in Paris, they announced that, well, next year they're going to do London to Amsterdam. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I now need to try and source a bike, and that's what kind of got me into it. And on top of that, at the time I did it with my ex-partner, and my family actually drove out to Paris to meet us at the deadline, at the finish line, and there was about 50 of us who arrived at this under the Eiffel Tower all at the same time. Everyone's so happy and excited, and the elation of the crowd and the energy. My family like, this is amazing. How do we sign up? And my brother, my sister have done the majority of the rides ever since. So this will be my 11th ride overseas cycle for the SIA. And yeah, it's now become very much a family affair when every year when it comes around, and then it's like we're all signing up for it.
That's so good. Yeah, I guess that's what makes these kinds of events special as a participant, isn't it? It's actually that external factor there. You've got so many people who are supporting and are just happy to see you doing it as well. It's like, not the fact that you were in a recumbent bike. It'll just be anybody turning up, waving the SIA flag, and it will just have a great reception. Yeah, hopefully there's lots of people in Bologna waiting for us when I cross the line as well, so I can soak up a bit of that atmosphere. Just out of pure curiosity, you said that you got over the top of this hill in your recumbent bike, and then the descent is. Anyone who rides a bike knows that going downhill is the fun part, right? You slog your guts out getting over a hill. So how fast does your recumbent bike go?
So my top recorded speed, according to Strava, was in Slovenia, and that was 47.5 mile an hour. So
that's quick enough, isn't it?
It's but because I'm literally 2 inches from the ground, you really sort of feel the speed, and you're fully tucked in behind your cranks, and it's it's an incredible experience. But yeah, I'm determined one day to get over 50 mile an hour.
It's quite flat in Italy, isn't it? I don't think we've got any big.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be on this trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting point that Peter brought up when we had our conversation. So I think I'd definitely like to get your perspective on it. And he said, your arms just aren't designed to push you up a hill. So he mentioned a time that in Portugal, where it was really hot, you're going up a hill, and he said basically saying, I know you won't mind me saying this because it's probably in the video of us talking anyway. He mentioned about how you were halfway up this hill and people were just basically pouring ice on you because you were close to the floor, which is roasting hot. You've got the sun baking down. And for me, I can just keep turning my legs, which are big chunks of motion designed muscle that are meant to do that. What does your training look like to get you in an endurance cycle shape?
So I generally, over the years, I say I've been doing this is my 11th one, and my general fitness is sustained by playing wheelchair basketball. So my cardiovascular fitness, my ability to breathe when absolutely fatigued, and just to keep going and going and going has always been sustained by that. Now, up until probably the last 2 years, I'm getting old now, so I don't play in the first team with basketball anymore. I'm sort of taking a step back, so I don't train 4 or 5 times a week anymore. It's more 2 or 3. So I have had to sort of focus more on going to the gym. So I have this as well, which is it's called a Magna Trainer. This is a tabletop sort of hand bike, and you can really crank up because it's magnets that create the resistance. You can really crank them up, so it's just miserable. But it's dead easy to put a film on your phone and just sort of do do an hour's cycling in the evening. So that's always helped with just general fitness as well. But the one thing that is really different about being in the recumbent is you can't put any weight through your cycle. So because I'm fully laid down and then the cranks are in front of me. As you said, then you've got these big muscles, these big legs that are designed to put power through. You're able to stand up on your pedals and put your entire body weight through it as well. I can't do that. So it's purely whatever I can pull, and the cranks go at the same time. So it's what I can pull into my biceps and what I can push away through my triceps. And I must admit, I probably should do more sort of bench press type exercise in the gym, which I just don't. I'm really struggling with a bad shoulder at the minute as well, due to a fortunate car crash I was in last year. So that's really hindered my training this year. But I am hopeful. Portugal last year and what Peter was talking about was probably the toughest physical and mental challenge outside of breaking my back I've ever endured. It was, I mean, I fully broke down on these hills. I was in tears. I mean, my brother was cycling alongside me at one point. And he's always pushed me. He's like, "Come on, keep going. It's not far." And he's like, it's the first time he's ever said to me, "Gaz, you don't have to do this. You can stop." And I'm still like, "No, I'm going to do it." But on those like really hot times, you just couldn't breathe because my diaphragm is compromised by my spinal injury as well. I just couldn't get oxygen into me. So that's it. Big bags of ice being pushed there. There's someone cycling alongside me holding an umbrella above my bike to try and give me some shade. Peter Jones is pouring his drinks bottle all over me just to try and cool me down. It was brutal, and it's the only way I could describe it is like if you've ever had your oven on and you open it, just take a big deep breath of that, and that's kind of what it was like trying to breathe in that environment. It was tough, but I got up this 10-mile hill, this mountain that we was climbing, and did it, and I couldn't have done it without the support of all the cyclists who were sort of helping me up there, whether it's them pouring the drinks on me or helping with the shade or just encouraging me to keep going. But yeah, it was one hell of a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, Peter openly admitted it. He said Gary Dawson is my hero, and I think that's one of the stories that he told, and has definitely cemented in his mind, what inspirational athletes attend these kind of events, and yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm looking forward to being part of it. Hope there won't be these big sweaty hills like that in the route we've got in Italy. So I don't think there's going to be any major breakdowns. But even then, I would struggle to go very far on my arms alone. I'm a classic cyclist these days. My upper body strength has disappeared because I've spent so much time spinning the legs and doing nothing with my arms. It's one of those things. It blows my mind to think that you, as a grown adult, are pulling yourself along on like you said, your biceps and triceps, which aren't designed to do that. It's remarkable. I'll touch on your trainer a little bit because actually, it's same but different, isn't it? So I stick myself in my garage on a turbo trainer, head down, just turn my legs over, stick a movie on as well. But I connect to Zwift, for example.
Oh yeah.
Have you got those kinds of resources for your hand bikes training stuff as well?
So not really. I mean, I've got a recumbent hand bike, and I do have a turbo trainer at home, but I would it's not that I can electronically connect to. It's just something that I can change the resistance on it. So but there's very few things. Obviously, Zwift, you're often using other people's cycles, aren't you? And other people's routes. I can't imagine there's that many hand cyclist routes that are programmed into it. I could be wrong, but that might be something worth looking into.
If you had to pitch to get people on the event, who's it for and why should they do it?
So, who's the ride for? The ride is for anybody looking for a challenge. So, whether you're a seasoned cyclist or you're someone who just needs a bit of a kick up the bum to get off the couch and aim towards something, because the ride itself is, yes, last can be very challenging at times, but because of the support systems in place, it's also very manageable. And if you do hit that point where you cannot go any further, there's always a van that you can get into.
Amazing. I think Peter said there was also a mechanic who was there to change his inner tube on multiple occasions and very swiftly. So yeah, it sounds amazingly supported and facilitated. So that's great. So then I guess a similar kind of thing for the charity, right? So let's raise some awareness so people understand the work that the SIA does and what it means. So I guess again, what would your elevator pitch for the SIA be?
Okay. So the Spinal Injuries Association is an organisation supporting anybody affected by spinal cord injury. The estimated 4,400 people per year who will be told that they're paralysed need someone to connect to help them come to terms with life after injury. The 107,000 people estimated living with spinal cord injury also can access SIA services for anything from acute support, so when someone sustains an injury, their time in intensive care, critical care, through rehabilitation, and most importantly, post-discharge out into the community. The SIA have people with lived experience, those who have sustained their own spinal cord injury, to share practical and practical information on how to come to terms and how to live in the world with a spinal cord injury. For friends and family, those who are thrust into this world, there'll be desperate information. By accessing SIA's Knowledge Hub for downloadable fact sheets on all things SCI, means that they can get themselves as best informed as possible so that they can continue to support their loved one. SIA offers lifelong support, so from post-discharge community groups where we offer opportunities for people living with spinal cord injury to get together in a local garden centre or pub to have a coffee and a chat, all the way through to our specialist nurses whose role is to ensure that anybody outside of specialist centres or outside of a major trauma centre or spinal unit is able to access specialist support regarding, especially around bodily function control and care. SIA offers services beyond just supporting people. We are part of an all-party parliamentary group where we campaign for change. We have endless amounts of social media from all platforms, a magazine, website, and we also have advocates. So if somebody is struggling post-discharge with accessing the right amount of care or have issues with their care, we have people who will fight on their behalf to ensure that they are getting everything that they're entitled to. The SIA receives no government funding at all. We are 100% reliant on partnerships and donations and fundraisers like the Overseas Cycle. The money raised, every single penny goes towards the services provided by the SIA.
Amazing. I guess the important message is then is that we need to, well, I need to do a good job of fundraising. So obviously I am asking people to donate. So anyone who's watching this, I think it's about time you go to my Just Giving page, which will be linked somewhere, and give me a small donation towards my very minor suffering of riding through Italy for 326 kilometers. I do want to talk about your bike
Yes.
and what you'll be riding and how that the blindingly obvious difference is that it's powered by your arms and not your legs. But what's different about a recumbent bike versus a standard bicycle?
I think the biggest difference is that I'm laid down. So I'm completely paralyzed from the chest down. So my legs, I've got no feeling, no sensation, no movement. There's nothing there at all. So for them to just sit in 2 stirrups by the front wheel, and then all the mechanics and the engineering of the bike, which would normally be behind a standard cycle, is now right in front of me. So the cranks are directly in front of my face. So everywhere you'll see me, I'm sort of looking around the side. But effectively, it is an upside down bike. Everything is the same. It's all, despite the cost of it being £5,500 for a recumbent bike. I have a top end Force RX. It's all stock stuff. My friends are always shocked that it's not got the best of the best gears and brakes, and I've got one of my friends who's going to be he's going to service the bike for me. We're going to upgrade a few of the parts in it before the cycle. But it's definitely it's a different experience from riding from a cycle bike as well, because your visibility is so reduced, your vulnerability on the road, and I say that very sparingly, knowing that just how vulnerable all cyclists are on the road. However, if anything happens with a cyclist, there is an element to quickly unclip or get your feet out the stirrups and hop off, and whereas I'm strapped into this bike, so if anything happens, if the bike turns over or gets hit, I'm in that bike. So I'd say they're the main differences. Yeah, that's I can think of off the top of my head.
The main question that I keep thinking about is, and this is going back to me sweating just thinking about using my arms to propel me. How many gears do you have?
I think I've got 36 gears. Okay. So I have a sort of 9-speed cassette at the bottom, and I've got three bigger rings. I do tend to use. I only ever really get into my big ring at the back if I'm absolutely tanking down a hill. The only issue we've had on recent cycles where you're going fast downhill is they're all like these switchback, banking round corners, hanging out the bike, trying to stop it from turning over. So I've not had too many opportunities to get into my really big ring to get some good speeding, but tend to stick to my middle, or my if I'm really struggling climbing a hill, I'm in my little granny ring at the bottom.
I'm in my granny ring on my road bike when I'm going up hills anyway. So that's a gear I'm
not just me then.
Very accustomed to. Oh, geez, no. Yeah, if I've changed my mindset recently. I don't mind grinding up hills so much these days. I used to be very much against it, but yeah, I'm quick to getting into my easiest gear and just letting the legs spin as quickly as possible, because yeah, you got the gears right. Let's just use them. There's no bravado about getting into the easiest gear to get up a hill. So.
Well, it's when you're doing, we've got 200 miles over 3 days. It's racing up a big hill is just burning yourself out and setting yourself up to fail, really. So a good bit of pace setting for these kind of rides is definitely advised. But I go out cycling. That's one of the other things with recumbent cycling is, because I'm laid down and my head's on my chin, I really struggle to look over my shoulder to see my blind spot. So and mine is a race spec bike, so mine's really designed for racing. Some of the elites. Where when I got it, I had it in mind that I'm going to be this racing cyclist. But when I'm out on the roads, because I can't see cars coming, or I don't go out on my own, so I cycle. So my sister and my sister's fiance. Who they met on the Budapest to Vienna ride. They've now got 2 kids, and they got engaged after the Portugal ride last year. Nice. Yes, they always come out with me, so they kind of act as my but I always have big flags on the back of. If you've seen any of the pictures of my bike, I've got big flags on the back of it, which does help. And the amount of stairs and sort of odd looks that you get when you're in a recumbent bike really does help with visibility. So cars do seem to give me a little bit more of a wide berth, or they slow down a little bit when they're going past because they want to sort of check the bike out, which hopefully makes my time on the road that little bit safer, but still vulnerable.
Thank you very much for your time. Really appreciated your insights and the stories you have about the incredible work being done by the SIA and your journey into becoming a recumbent cyclist, which is super exciting.
Thank you so much for coming to support the SIA. You know, we're always looking for new people to get involved, for wider circles that we can reach. And, you know, yes, the fundraising obviously a big part of it, but it does mean that your circle of friends and family and connections will get to hear more about the SIA and the amazing and incredible work that that we do. So yes, thanks for being involved.